Cartoon Network is struggling to become relevant again. So far this content cycle, they are 1 in 4. Victor and Valentino proved to be the lone exception to an otherwise boring and uninspiring programming slate. So where does their newest series, Mao Mao, Heroes of Pure Heart, stand? Does it set the bar for Cartoon Network's future shows, or does it simply lack the heart to do that? Now, I've already made a video explaining the show's premise and my first thoughts on it, so I'll only briefly retread on that stuff here. Mao Mao is a self-dubbed adventure comedy cartoon about a famous crime-fighting cat and his sidekicks who are caught in unfamiliar territory when they become protectors of the eponymous community of Pure Heart. Upon watching various previews thrown out in advance of the premiere, I felt it was caught in a similar trap to other current CN shows. It has all the elements that would make a good show, but in execution it seemed to fall flat. Now that we have actual full episodes to look at, we can find out if those feelings prove justified, or if this show still has a surprise or two I haven't seen. Jumping into the first episode, the opening scenes were some of the ones put out by Cartoon Network as preview clips previously. I was already feeling pretty meh about these, so that does nothing to re-inspire any confidence in me. Mao Mao himself harbors illusions of grandeur and feels a bit showy in battle. He's trekked the world battling bad guys and pirates, so he's definitely garnered a lot of confidence over his career, which seems to always be on full display, for better or for worse. Badger Claps riffs against all this pretty well. Adorabat, as protege, is overeager but surprisingly confident. At first, having to settle down the Pure Heart Valley feels like an awful doom for our Black Cat hero, but his heroic tendencies reluctantly warm him to it. Then once he finds out the place is legendary, then he's completely fine with protecting the place he kinda screwed up in the first place. It's a pretty weak and dumb rationale, but then again, I didn't expect much. Entertaining this show with a look at its second episode, Adorabat effectively uses Mao Mao and Badger Claps for her own entertainment. After our three heroes cause a bit of a ruckus, the episode builds up to a fairly decent ending, but still felt like the episode was hollow and pointless. I don't feel I gained much from this episode aside from about 10 seconds of character building. If this entire episode didn't exist, I don't think much would change. The third episode also featured one of the previously posted preview clips, and it got tougher to really define my stance on this show. It's not a bad show, but it's not a good show either. There aren't abject flaws as there are gnawing, underlying deep things that would be a challenge to rectify. It seems Adorabat and her aspirations to be a hero are becoming a prominent focus on the show, which could at some point give it some direction. It's similar to fellow CN show OKKO, Let's Be Heroes. But we already have OKKO and Mao Mao's names in the show title, not Adorabat's. So where is this series going? It's very unclear. Mao Mao is meh. The action scenes are nice and decently done, but it doesn't do enough to lift up the other several minutes of episode where it feels like little of importance is happening. It suffers from a similar issue as Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where the action scenes are great, but it's the other stuff that helps support those action scenes and buoy the show. In the Turtles case, it works, if sometimes concerningly barely. On Mao Mao, it falls apart. It's an awfully slow burner, and at best, it just might find its feet someday or another. But it just might get better sometime is horribly nebulous. And all the while we wait, potential audiences could be leaving the show and not going back. The show currently airs 2 episodes a week. If I watched the first 2 episodes back on July 1st, I doubt I would have been impressed. Heck, I'm not impressed now, having also watched one of the new episodes that aired last week as of the time of this recording. I don't think I would have made it through another one. So I guess Mao Mao Heroes of Pure Heart is another show to add to the list of necessary sacrificial fodder that's building up on Cartoon Network's mediocre Teen Titans Go Redemption tour. It's like Turtles 18, but it doesn't work. It's like OKKO, but why would we need a copy? And it's a painfully slow burner that is mostly an empty slog to watch, like Craig of the Creek, but without a formulaic structure to try and salvage it. With Cartoon Network making so many of those mistakes from their other recent shows again, it's no wonder that I feel the way I feel about this show. I don't love you, Mao Mao, and it's not you, it's me. If you want to hear about a Cartoon Network show I actually do like, check out my reviews of Victor and Valentino right over here. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos every single week. I'm Benzie Johnson Jr., I'm enthusiastic about television, and I'll see you next time.